Here's the basic overview of what's going to take place on Sunday. People are going to come in and they're going to receive their form at the check-in. And then after they receive their form, they will be partnered with a guide, which is you. And then y'all will go to one of these tables and explain to the affected person how they can spend their financial aid that they're getting from our church. After you've explained their options and they've decided, depending on what they decide, you might have to make a copy of something or do a few extra steps. But after they've chosen their option, the last thing is you will take them over to the final table. You'll make a copy of their form for them, give them all the necessary documents that we've created, and just say thank you for coming and send them on their way. So now what I'm gonna do is kind of just take a second to break down what each of those steps looks like in a little bit more detail. So the first thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna have people coming up through the back staircase so that we can funnel them this way. So this right here is the check-in table. Every person that comes up here will have a file with their basic information at the check-in table. If someone comes up here and we don't have a file for them, then that is probably that they aren't on the list. And so what we'll do is we'll say, we're really sorry. We're going to make a note of this and we'll be contacting you if it was our if you just came. And if they just came and they aren't someone that we're planning on helping, then we'll add them to the waiting list and we'll vet them later. Okay, so once they get to here, what you'll do is, like when you go into a restaurant, is basically, you know how when you show up you say, I'll take a table for 4, and a seating hostess takes you to your table? Well, you all will be, as guides, y'all will be standing over here, and we will, the person at the check-in table will say, hey, John Smith, this is Sean, and he's gonna be going with you to explain back at one of these tables, explain how you're going to get your financial aid. So this station is basically, if we have an overflow of people, say all the guides are busy helping people, we'll just tell them to come over here. We'll have donuts and we'll have coffee and we'll say, just relax here. And then we'll basically go, okay, once a guide is free, we'll send them over to come help the next person. All right, that's what this station is. So this is kind of the biggest part of your job. What you're going to do is, these are the tables where you will be standing having one-on-one conversations with the families who've been affected. If you're with an elderly person who needs to maybe sit down, come to this table or go to that table. But here's the breakdown. Each of these tables will have a piece of information. This is a blank piece of paper, but it'll have an information sheet that's kind of like a cheat code for you to be able to help you explain to the people their options. Here are their options. And we'll go over this again on Sunday at 7:30 whenever y'all get here early. But I think y'all can pretty much follow this now. The number one, I'm just gonna go in order of where we found them. The first option is Houston Appliances, which is in Old Katy, and it's a scratch and dent refurbished appliance store. So basically you'll explain to them, your money could potentially go to this scratch and dent appliance store if you would like it to. You show them, like, this is where it is, this is how the process would work if you chose them. Then you say there's also Sears as an option, where if you would like a new appliance, or you'd like more variety, or you'd like to match with other things in your kitchen, there's Sears as an option. And then the third option is if they would like a Home Depot gift card. Now, with each of those, you'll explain, and it'll say it on the paper, so it's not something you have to memorize off the top of your head, but you'll explain, oh, okay, you'd like the Sears option? Well, let me make sure you know. What you would do is you would call and ask if Jessica is in, like this is gonna be on the paper, and if she is, you'll go and meet with her, and she will help you get this all resolved. You'll show her, she'll ask for your driver's license to confirm you are who you are, and then once you order, they will send us an invoice of that order form. We'll pay it, and then once it's paid, they will deliver your appliance to your house. So those are all details that you don't have to memorize because they're going to be on the paper, but basically you want to let them know about all their options. Now, there is a rare case where someone might say something like, none of those options are helpful, but this is helpful. All right, so I should have shown you this. This is something that they are going to pick up. Has their basic information, and it's going to be, all this is going to be filled out, and right here it's going to say how much funds they're going to be designated to have, okay? So you're going to take this with them over to these tables and discuss their options. And then once they decide, you're going to write down in an area, you're going to say that they want all their money to go towards a Home Depot gift card. You're going to say they want 1,000 of it to go towards Sears, and 500 of it to go towards Home Depot or something like that. Now, once they've decided and you all have talked about their options, and like I just described, Home Depot, Sears, or Houston Appliance, if there's a rare case that they say, you know what I need is, I'm living in an apartment right now and I need 3 months rent, then we'll make a note about how they would like their money to go towards their apartment. And then we'll tell them, hey, we'll be getting back with you soon on whether or not we can do that. Because the bottom line, and you can tell this to them, the bottom line is we're gonna make sure their money is as helpful as possible, but we can't just write them a check personally. And that's just a rule that we have just to avoid any fraudulent activity and just to keep ourselves safe, because this isn't our money. This is money that's been indebted, or we've been asked to be good stewards of this money. Okay, so once you've explained all that, then we go to the final step, and that's gonna be right over here by the checkout. Once they've decided everything that they want, you're gonna come over here and you're going to make a copy of their form so that they can take a copy home, and then we have their copy for our files. So we haven't put it here yet, but there's gonna be a copy machine here if we get permission from Cassie Smith. And if we don't, that's okay. We'll have something to make copies. But we're gonna make a copy of this form, and if they're choosing to get an appliance, you're also gonna make a copy of their driver's license, okay? So now that you've explained the whole process to them, you've come and you've made a copy of their form, and if they're getting an appliance, you've made a copy of their driver's license too for our records. What you'll do is you'll say, okay, here's your copy of your form. So now if you talk to anybody and they're like, were you there for that Sunday thing? They can be like, yeah, I have my copy of my form. You have their instructions on how to redeem their voucher for their appliances, their credit for their appliances. And then lastly, you have that piece of paper that's, hey, this is info about our church. You hand that to them, say, we love you. Feel free to grab a donut or a water on your way out, and we'll send them back out. And then what you do, and this is important, what you need to do is we'll have a slot over here. You just take their form and make sure it goes in that slot. And then what we'll do is we'll have a record of everyone who came, and we'll have all their forms over here. And then all you do is you go back to where we started, and you wait until the next person comes up and help that next person that you can in line. I can't promise that we're gonna have like the just right amount of volunteers. We might have too many, we might have too few. I have a feeling that for a lot of it, we might be like, yeah, we have maybe a few more volunteers that we needed, and if we do, we might tell a few people they can go ahead and go home. But I have a strong feeling that between the hours of 8 and 9:30 is gonna be a really high traffic time. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I can come for the whole 4 hours, what we really need is the beginning half. You showing up at 7:30 to help set up and so that you know and you can ask any questions about this process. And then from 8 until probably 9:30 or 10, we believe is gonna be the highest traffic time. And so just be prepared for that. And it's gonna be a great event, and thank you so much for just being willing to play this role and helping us, because the bottom line is I don't have the time to explain all this to each person, so that's why we need you to be people that know this stuff to explain as people come up. So thank you for doing this, and I hope you know that this is a huge part of helping us own the mile.